Welcome everybody to a very special edition of the Rasslin Wrestling Review Show right here on YouTube. Not only is this the official review of WWE Payback, but this is finally after many months of fighting with my computer, fighting with graphics, whatever you want to call it, this is the official 1-year anniversary show of the Rasslin Wrestling Review Show. And so without further ado, let's get right to the review and one of the first of many new reveals coming up for the show on YouTube. So check this out. Welcome to the very first edition of the Rasslin Wrestling Review Show. First up, as always, let's talk about the pre-show. First up on the pre-show was Enzo and Cass versus the Club, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Now, I love Enzo and Cass. I absolutely love Enzo and Cass. I thought they were a fantastic tag team in NXT. Here's the problem. On the main roster, they're like a big, like little fish in a big pond with nowhere to go. I think they're a fantastic tag team. I think they'll have a bright future if given the right push and the right amount of story for their characters. I think they'll be future tag team champions, but that's not the case right now. Like I said, they're a little fish in a big pond. Back to the match. The match was surprisingly okay, but overall, I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. It wasn't the greatest match in the world, but it was still alright. The next, it wasn't even really a match. It was the Miz TV segment between The Miz and Finn Balor. It was a great segment. I think, honestly, though, it was a waste of time. It was great for setting up a possible Finn Balor and Miz possible story going forward, and possible program going forward, but overall, I think it was just a huge waste of time. Overall, I'm going to give this segment 2.5 out of 5 stars. Now, let's take a look at the main card. The first match on this card for the main card was Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens in the rematch from WrestleMania for the United States title. I thought this was a fantastic match. Both sides both used every trick they had in the book. Even Chris Jericho, while he was the face, used some heelish tendencies, and I thought it was a fantastic matchup. And your winner and new United States champion, Chris Jericho. Overall, I'm going to give this match a 3 out of 5 stars. Fantastic start to the show. But now on to the next one. The next match on the card saw a double Austin Aries versus the King of the Cruiserweights, Neville, in a rematch also from WrestleMania for the Cruiserweight title. This was a fantastic matchup that had a really crappy ending. I thought the ending was horrible. During the match, Austin Aries looked to have everything locked away, looked to have the title won with the last chancery, but Neville grabbed the referee and threw him across the room, or across the ring rather, getting the disqualification. It was just a horrible ending to a really good match. So because of the ending, I got to give this match a 3 out of 5 stars. For the Raw Tag Team titles, up next, the Hardy Boys look to keep their legacy going, while Sheamus and Cesaro look to rebuild the legacy that they once had for the tag team titles. This match was classic tag team wrestling. It was fantastic. Jeff Hardy even lost a tooth at some point, which I think it was just from a kick from Sheamus right to the face, but it was just really just I felt really bad for Jeff Hardy. But anyway, this match was a really good match. Overall, 3.5 out of 5 stars. After the match, Cesaro and Sheamus looked to shake the hands of the Hardy Boys, who actually won the match. The Hardy Boys won the match, therefore keeping the titles. And when they went to shake their hands, they actually left the ring, came back, and destroyed the Hardys, therefore turning them heel, which I think that's fantastic. I think they make better heels anyways. So the match was overall really good. Like I said, 3.5 out of 5 stars, and it was just a really good match. Hopefully they have a lot more in the future. Next up, for the Raw Women's Championship, Bayley looks to keep her title in her hometown against relative newcomer to Monday Night Raw, Alexa Bliss. Now this was a fantastic matchup. It went back and forth throughout the entire match. It was completely back and forth. Your winner, though, Alexa Bliss, and therefore she is now the new Raw Women's Champion. I don't necessarily agree with this because Bayley deserved, I think, a little bit longer of a run. I think she deserved a Charlotte type of run where it was a few months. She won at Mania, but I still think that she deserved a longer run than this. Still, it was a good match. I don't necessarily agree with the ending, but congratulations to Alexa Bliss, who is actually the first Raw and Women's SmackDown champion. She was the first one to hold both titles, so congratulations about that. Not necessarily the greatest ending, and not necessarily that I agree with it, but overall, I still give this match a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next match on the card was actually part 1 of the 2-part, and I'll explain why in just a second, why it was 2 parts, the House of Horrors match between Bray Wyatt and the current WWE Champion, Randy Orton. Now, the reason I say this is part 1 is because the match had to end in the ring, and they started in the House of Horrors match, which was filmed in another location. Now, there was rumor that this part of this match was pre-recorded, and you could pretty much tell it was. But it was creepy as all get out. It was a great concept for a match. I thoroughly enjoyed this first part. The way they ended this first part of this match was after Randy got a refrigerator thrown on top of him, Bray Wyatt used the limousine that Randy Orton showed up in to get back to the arena. So that's how the first part of that match ended. For this part of this match, I'm actually going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars because this was just a fantastic concept for a match, and I hope they use it in the future, but I really hope it's not overdone. Next up was Samoa Joe versus Seth Rollins. Now, straight from the onset, Samoa Joe targeted the bad leg of Seth Rollins. I still don't fully think he's cleared to compete, but I still think he's doing it just because he's Seth Rollins. Why not? It was a great match, back and forth the entire time. Most of these matches were completely back and forth. Nobody was a clear winner or took control of the match, rather. It was a very, very cool match. Seth Rollins ended up winning after he reversed the coquina clutch into a roll-up, which that was a fantastic maneuver. Overall, I'm going to give this match a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, I don't think Seth Rollins is still completely cleared to wrestle, but like I said, it's Seth Rollins, so what are you going to do? Next up on the card was part 2 of the House of Horrors match between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. Bray Wyatt finally got into the ring, finally made it into the arena, and as he was getting into the ring, Randy Orton came out of nowhere with a steel chair and started attacking him. I thought this was a fantastic style of matchup. I thought it was a great concept for a match. Overall, like I said, I'm going to carry on from the last one and give this full match a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And your winner, after a distraction by the Singh brothers on behalf of Jinder Mahal, your winner, Bray Wyatt. Now, this was not for the WWE title, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but then again, I see why they did it, because you can't have both of your world titles on the same show. But then again, your Universal title that you would have on Raw is MIA because it's on Brock Lesnar. You knew that going in, that if you put it on Goldberg, he was not going to stick around long enough, and now all of a sudden, you had to put it on Brock Lesnar, who isn't around at all, and now you don't really have a title for Raw, and that just, yeah, that's supposed to make everything better? Okay, yeah, all right. Anyways, so your winner, like I said, Bray Wyatt, again, overall 3.5 out of 5 stars for the entire match. And as far as Jinder Mahal goes, I think it's absolutely laughable that he is even considered a #1 contender for a world title in WWE. This guy has been a career mid-carder all of his life. Need I remind you of 3MB and his many, many storylines with the Punjabi Giant in the Great Khali. Yeah, I said the same thing 3-4 months ago with Heath Slater. It'd be almost like Heath Slater becoming #1 contender for the world title. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And, you know, I just don't get it. I mean, you have this guy, like I said, who's a career mid-carder, and now all of a sudden he's #1 contender for the world title. I understand SmackDown is the land of opportunity, but there are so many other people on that roster that are deserving of a world title shot who are legitimate #1 contenders who have been in the main event before. This guy has not been in the main event. In my opinion, he doesn't deserve to be in the main event because he hasn't done anything to be in the main event to begin with. If he becomes world champion, you're going to make a laughingstock of the biggest title in your company's history. But that's just my humble opinion, though. On to the next match. Next up is your main event of the evening, Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman in a match that has been done, and overdone. This match was okay. Roman got his butt handed to him the entire match. After the match was over, which Braun Strowman actually won, after the match, Braun Strowman completely destroyed Roman Reigns with the steel steps. It actually got really bloody. It actually got really violent. During the Raw after show, Braun ended up taking a door off of an ambulance with a spear, and he actually separated his shoulder right here. So I mean, it was a really boring main event, in my opinion. Overall, I'm going to give that match 2 out of 5 stars. And yeah, it was what it was. I understand it's setting up for another match between them, possible ambulance match. It is what it is. So anyways, let's talk about my match of the night. My match of the night has to go to the WWE Women's Raw title match. It absolutely showed that the women's revolution is far from done, even though it did take a little bit of a detour there for a while. It shows that the women's revolution is far from done in WWE. And overall, I'm going to give this pay-per-view a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was an okay pay-per-view. You know, it wasn't the best pay-per-view. It wasn't as good as WrestleMania. I wish I could have done the WrestleMania show like I did last year. I'm sorry I didn't get that up in time. But like I said, I've had some issues with my graphics and trying to get those done, and it was just, everything was slowed down. But guys, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, for those of y'all that have stuck with me over the last year and 2 months or so, thank you. This YouTube channel would not be possible without you guys. You know, it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I finally found my niche, so to speak. And, you know, I love doing these videos. I love bringing you guys all of these reviews and my opinions on these shows and on these pay-per-views and on the Raw Top 5 and SmackDown Live Top 5. So I love doing this for you guys. You know, if you guys have any ideas for any upcoming shows that you want me to do, let me know in the comments. You know, message me on Facebook or Twitter, or, you know, send me a comment on Instagram. And, you know, it's just been a really cool year as far as doing this. I have a lot more coming. So I do apologize to you guys for being so late on this video, but I promise I got a lot more coming. So stick with me. God bless you guys. I love y'all. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. My name, as always, is Brandon Duchair Craven, and we do have a couple more reviews coming in the next few weeks. So I will let you guys know about those. Just keep it locked right here on the YouTube channel of the Rollin' Wrestling Review Show. I'll see you next time. I'm out of here. See you guys.